I'm not sure if he slept in the first place. Because as a president of a country like Kenya, there is so much on your shoulders, and again, we cannot say it is too much for him, because when you're asking for a job, you know what exactly what the job entails, what it means, and for somebody like William Ruto, he's been in politics since his days in university until now. So running a government is nothing is supposed to surprise him in this office. He has been a deputy president for 10 years. He probably have sat on those tables trying to solve the crises around the country, different type of crises. And so this must just be one of them to him, from where I stand. So definitely he has to come up with the solution, because he asked for the job. And there are many who believe Kenyans gave him the job. Some of us don't believe Kenyans gave him the job. We believe he took the job. But that's a story for another day. That's a discussion for another time. So yesterday, he had to restrain a lot and try to make it look like he is within the law in terms of what he's doing. Although I believe so many things happened which were not supposed to happen, especially from the side of government, because the question I would always want us to have a discussion around, if the framers of the Constitution found it really necessary to have demonstration in the Constitution as one of the fundamental rights, then what is it that makes it unlawful every other time anybody attempts to have it? Because that is what we need to deal with. But the problem I have is, right now the conversation is moving from the things that necessitates those demonstrations to the things that happened in the demonstrations. Because for me to wake up in the morning and feel this is now the time I must go out there and picket, or I must go out there and protest, what is making me protest is supposed to be the real conversation. But the conversation ends up with, you saw tear gas, you saw young people doing this, you saw this happen, you saw this, then that is now the conversation. While the things that moved them from their houses onto the road to actually protest is no longer a conversation.
I'll be coming back to you, because we have the three, and they've said we are not going to relent until you talk to us and address these three. I'll be coming back to you on that. Sikolia, imagine you were Dr. President William Ruto, and that has happened. It's barely 1 year down into your tenure, and somebody is over the other side telling you, you gotta act right, and I'm telling you, give me 1, 2, 3. If you don't, I'll be right in the street every other Monday until you listen. Do you think you're gonna take the position that we saw the government took yesterday? Bring it on. We're also gonna bring it to you until maybe one or the other tires out of this battle.
Well, if you really look at it, and if you look at what happened, it's something kind of like a repeat of history. Because, you know, for whatever reason, it cannot be that every time there's a government in place that we have, you know, the former prime minister coming and saying, you know, I'm going to go against this. So if it's happened a couple of times, and now you're being told, you know, you either come and we dialogue on our terms, or we're going to go the demonstration way, you know, I think even for me, if I was the president, I would say the same thing. You know, you want to have your demonstrations, you go ahead, but then do it in the way that has been prescribed. And I mean, as my colleague has said here, it's something that is within the Constitution. It talks about demonstrations. It doesn't talk about vandalism, right? And if you look at it, the first time, and I'll call it a threat, they threatened and said, we will have a demonstration and we will walk to State House. But as time got closer and they realized, you know, now this will actually now, you know, be bringing us into a different round because we'll be talking treason the moment we cross that line. And so with that, there's been a lot of changes and shifts in terms of what's going to happen, how we're going to go about it. If you look at it, the reason why we're not even addressing the main reason for the demonstrations is because of how it's been packaged. If they had planned themselves well, right, and said, this is what we're going to do, and then carried that out in a peaceful way, we would have been talking a very different thing right now. But then, number one, they'd say they're going to go to they're going to go to State House. Then they changed and said, okay, we're going to go to KICC. I do not know if they had told the management at KICC that they're going to do that. Because if they had not warned them in advance and booked, because it's a business, it's an enterprise, and there are other people working there. Yeah. So for them to go to KICC, under what mandate? Did they book the grounds to go to KICC? Now, from KICC, they kept on saying, we're meeting here and then we're going to march to State House, which they did not do for sure, right? So you see, that was already showing that there was already things changing. So the question was, what's going on? What is the plan? And when people are starting to ask what is the plan, it means that they're not sure of what's happening other than we're supposed to be out and we're supposed to be visible.
Yeah.